Hello. You caught me not in the morning. It is 3:30 in the afternoon, and it is a gray, miserable day. I just got back from a drive west. I'm on the east coast of an island, and we went and checked out the west coast of the island, which was really nice. And the sun came out um, in perfect timing when we were checking out this mountain, and the sun was came up and the clouds broke and it was gorgeous, and then it was just rain and darkness all the way back home. But anyways, while I was on the drive, I remembered this incident that happened, and I thought it could be the topic for the share today. So um I maybe it was 10 years ago. I don't know, time is just like before. It was a while ago. And I was at this bird sanctuary near a river, and there's this giant tree that I've walked along this thing a lot, and always wanted to climb it. And I was by myself, so I'm like, I'm climbing this tree. So I climb up in this tree, and I just settle in, and I see these two young boys with two dogs, um, kind of walking up the trail ahead of me. And, they went off and did their thing or whatever. And then I saw them coming back after I was sitting in this tree for a bit. And I suddenly had this image of like being trapped up in the tree with the two dogs barking at the bottom of the tree. And I didn't want to get trapped. So I like shuffled down, and I figured I would get out ahead of them and be on my way, right? But I miscalculated all the things. And so by the time I got down, they were just coming by. So I kind of hung back a bit and let them go ahead of me. So I was about maybe 100 feet or so behind them. And it was just the last little bit of this trail and then the end of the road that this trail starts at. And so they kind of come and then just are about to go around this corner, and I hear the dog start barking and running up ahead. And then one of the guys was like, "Hey," calling after the dog. So I'm not thinking anything. I'm just whatever, dogs and their people, right? So I'm walking along, but by the time, and then I hear like a screech, and I hear a thud, and I hear yelling, and I'm like, "What the heck?" So, and I just come around the corner, and I see this vehicle parked, and one of the guys is standing in front of this vehicle, and he's like yelling at the guy, and one of the dogs is like walking like this and then falls over and hits the ground. And when it hits the ground, it does the whole like if you ever seen a goat when it does its weird thing, it was like that. So its legs were up, which is not a good, that's not what dogs do normally. And this guy's having this interaction, and he's like yelling at her saying, "You hit my dog." And she was like, "You kicked your dog." And there was just this confrontation that was going on. Meanwhile, the dog had like wandered over and fell over. And he runs to the dog, and he's like checking it, and then he picks it up and he carries it, and he starts running up an alleyway. So I jump in my vehicle and I drive up this alleyway and catch up to him, and he just is outside of a fenced yard. And he went and called his mom, and his mom comes out and she checks the dog. And I'm there because I'm like, "Do we need to take this dog to the vet? Like, what do we need?" And she's like, he's dead. And the kid is like, "Ah," and starts running back down the alleyway, back towards this vehicle that had pulled over. And so the mom's like, "What the hell?" And I'm like, "Jump in." So she jumps into my vehicle, and I reverse back so that, because this kid's like sprinting. So we come back, and she jumps out, and she tries to mediate with this person, and that the vehicle is still parked there. And I kind of pull away, and like I'm going to drive away. And as this interaction is happening between this woman and this kid, and they're yelling, and she's like, "You kicked your dog," and he's like, "You hit my dog," and she's like, "No, she pulled over and kind of went for him because he had kicked his dog." And what it felt like from me, even though I didn't see what happened, but it felt like he was upset because the dog wasn't coming when he called. And I think he kicked the dog in the chest, and it stopped the dog's heart. But what was happening was, as this confrontation was happening in this middle of this road, I was driving, drove past this way. And as I was driving past this way, there was this truck with this man with the big white beard, and he was coming this way. So we both kind of went by like this on either side of these people. And then I was going to drive away, and then I just was like, no. And so I turned around and I come driving back because I felt like I was kind of a witness, right? So I come back, and at the same time that I pass this scene again, the man with the beard in the truck comes again, and we did this like double team circling. And he went on his way, and I came around, and then the kid got mad and he left, and the mom was like trying to figure out what's going on. She just has her dead dog and her kid freaking out. And so I pulled her aside and I'm like, listen, I just want you to know that there's a risk that your kid kicked the dog and its heart stopped. And it wasn't something that she wanted to hear. She kind of, I was trying to comfort her, and I had grabbed her hand and I was like, listen, you need to know that it's not just like, that's one side of the story, that this woman hit her dog, but she was pretty adamant on like, you kicked your dog. And somebody who accidentally hits somebody else's dog, that's not their go-to, right? So anyways, I just thinking like, if that was the case, if the kid was projecting, if the kid was in denial and refused to take ownership or responsibility, then that can fester and turn into something else. And so it was really, really important for me that the mom knew that information so that she can keep it on a back burner, even if she doesn't believe it, right? If something comes up later on, if like, I don't know, it just felt important for her to know. And I wasn't saying your son did this. It was more like, this is the other story that you might not hear from your son, right? That is a potential to the thing. But it felt really weird. Like, it felt like an energetic thing. Like, the timing of where I was, the interact, like me and this man were like, which I've never seen again or whatever, but the fact that we both came both ways at the same time, it felt like we were kind of energetically affecting or containing this air. Like, it's so weird, right? Um and that was quite, I was getting right into the point in my life where I was trying really hard, not like being mindful to not share things that make people feel bad. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was breaking out of that habit. So where the only thing you're sharing is awful things like, oh, I saw a dead animal, and it was gross, or it was awful, or whatever, and then the other person that you're telling is like, oh, like, why do we do that? Why do we share things that make other people feel bad? Like, I know this awful thing, so you should know this awful thing too. So anyways, I ended up not really telling anybody about it because of that reason. It was going to make people be like, oh, and I didn't want to contribute to that. um and here I am telling you, but I just, for me, it was more about the energetic side of it, and and the timing, like being in this tree and seeing them all having their thing. Like, it also intuitively felt like those two kids um, had walked up and went into the bush and did some kind of drugs and then came out. And so, I know that animals can be affected energetically, like through contact high or whatever. And then these dogs take off and the heat of the moment and all of the things. And then the guy getting frustrated with his dog because his dog's not recalling when he calls him, and he gives him a kick, and, maybe adrenaline or whatever. Like, it makes sense that that would stop a heart. If you kick a dog in the heart, you could make it heart, whatever, explode or stop. It was crazy. It was crazy. And yeah, I ran into that mom at the thrift store once, and I don't know, she kind of like was giving me a side look, like, do I recognize you? And I was like, but I hope it was okay. I hope it all ended well. I hope that piece of information, her knowing that potential, I hope that helped. It felt right. This is how we're navigating life, like, especially moving intuitively, and it's in that realm. You're sharing messages, and you're the right people are hearing them, and timing, and there's no accidents, right? And so me and this man, and the timing of that, and what was going on there, and the misunderstanding, and the he said she said, and the trauma and the drama of that. I was also like, if this happened to this kid and he's not addressing that, but he knows the truth, yeah, that can come out in other ways, right? And maybe that's an add-on to this share, is that what we don't heal, what we deny, comes out no matter what. It's like a fish. I don't know why it's like a fish, but it's like a fish. And if you refuse to clean it, if you refuse to debone it and cut it up and stick it in the freezer, or throw it away, or do anything, if you refuse to deal with this fish, and you just chuck it somewhere behind you where you're like, nope, but there's no fish, eventually, you see where I'm going, eventually there's flies, there's maggots, there's smells, and you could be like spraying and throwing air fresheners at it and car fresheners at it, um, but it's still festering, it's still having its effect. People are still being affected by it that come near you, because they're like, it's either really smelling of freshener, which is not a good smell. Um, right? It's like the high masking. There's no smell, nothing to see here. Denial, man. It's denial. And yeah, eventually it's as clear as a dead fish in your yard. I don't know. I don't know why that was part of the thing. It's because I recently went on this walk on my favorite trail walk by the river, and there was dead fish everywhere, and the smell was so disgusting, and I had to turn around and get the heck out of there. I mean, but the forest is going to be fully fed, because and springtime, it's going to be gorgeous. But I'll wait until then before I go back there, because I don't want to smell stinky fish. Anyway, so that was my random share. And I just wanted to show you my face and to tell you a story. And hopefully it does something. I don't know if you know what was going on with that whole, like, do you think that was an energetic bubbling containment thing that these two people just intuitively happened to, like, crazy? It's crazy to me. Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. And or not, maybe you just like to watch me ramble on about all the things that come to mind. But either way, I appreciate you for being here and getting this far anyways in the conversation, because maybe you like my face. Okay. Have a great day and stay warm. It's getting colder out there. Look at me, I've got my sweater on. I've got what do we got? Snowy winter scene, and my cozy warm shoulder sweater thing that I crocheted. Okay, love you, bye.